Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome, dear students, in our series of a lecture on packaging under the pharmaceutical production technologies. We were discussing the various aspects of packaging. What are the packaging materials, their roles, their requirements, ideal properties of glass, metal, plastic, rubber, closures, regulatory requirements of these closures and containers. We discussed uh, various regulatory guidelines and aspects like labeling in the packaging so far. This is the time to focus on the quality control test of packaging technologies, packaging materials. Let's discuss quality control test in this lecture. So let's begin our journey. Dear friends, after going through this lecture, you will be able to understand and learn the compendial methods of quality control of packaging materials and containers. We will be moving with the plan. We will be first covering the QC test for packaging materials starting from glass, then plastic, metals, and then closures. So one by one we will be taking. So let's start with glass. QC test for glass. Number 1, hydrolytic resistance. Number 2, powdered glass test. Number 3, water test. Number 4, arsenic limit test. So these are the 4 major tests prescribed by the Indian Pharmacopoeia. And light transmission test is another one. Okay, remember these overall 5 tests: hydrolytic resistance, powdered glass test, water test, arsenic limit test, and light. Now let's take the very first glass test. That's it. That is hydrolytic resistance test. The test is performed to determine whether the alkali released from the surface of a container is within the specified limit or not. You know that the glass tends to, normal glass, soda lime glass tends to release the alkali. So what we are going to do here, the amount of acid that is necessary to neutralize the released alkali from the surface is estimated. The leaching of alkali is accelerated using elevated temperature for a specified time in this particular test. Endpoint indicator used here is methyl red, which is used in the acid base titration. Okay, what we are using, methyl red. Remember this, and this is the indicator which is used in the acid base titration. Type 1 and type for the type 2 glass containers, to distinguish from type 3 containers, the test 1 surface test is done, while type 1 and type 2 glass containers, where it is necessary to determine whether the high hydrolytic resistance is due to the chemical composition or the surface treatment, then test 1 and 2 both should be done. So this test is done for detecting the type of glass. So we are using this test for determining the type of glass actually. So first of all, let us focus on the choosing the containers, numbers and volume. If the capacity of the container is up to 3 ml, the number of containers used should be 20 and volume of test solution to be used for titration in ml should be 25 ml. If the capacity of container is 5 or less, the number of containers should be 10, volume of test sample should be 50 ml, and if it is 6 to 30, the capacity of container is 6 to 30, then number of containers will be used 5, and the volume of test solution will be 50 ml. For more than 30 capacity, 30 ml capacity, we will use containers 3 containers we are going to use, and that too the volume of test solution will be 100 ml, which will be used for the titration. Okay. Now test 1, that is surface glass test. Let's see what is this test and what the steps we are going to perform. Number 1, rinse the container twice with water. Then wash the containers. Fill the containers with fresh distilled water 90%. Cover with aluminum foil. Autoclave at 100 to 120 degrees Celsius for 20 minutes. Then maintain at 120 degrees Celsius for 1 hour. At lower temperature for 40 minutes. Remove the containers and cool. Then titrate it within 1 hour with the specified volume of test solution. Titrate with 0.01 m SCl and endpoint should be colorless. So this was the surface glass test, and the result should not be greater than the value stated in the table which we are going to discuss here. So this is the table. So the maximum volume of 0.01 m SCl hydrochloric acid per 100 ml of test solution is given, mentioned for type 1 and type 1, type 2 and type 3 glass. For type 1 and type 2 glass, this column is giving the ml, the volume of 0.01 m SCl, while for type 3 glass this column is giving. So for not more than 1, if the capacity of container is not more than 1 ml, okay, corresponding to 90% average overflow volume ml, not more than 1, then type 1 and type 2, for type 1 and type 2 this limit should be 2 ml, for type 3 20 ml, for more than 1 but not more than 2, 1.8 and 17.6, corresponding for type 1, type 2 and type 3. Okay. For more than 2 but not more than 5, 1.3. okay, for type 1 and type 2 glass. For type 3 glass it is 13.2. For more than 5 but not more than 10, 1 ml. For type 3 glass, 10.2 ml. For between 10 to 20, you can say more than 10 but not more than 20. The first for type 1 and type 2 glass it would be 0.8 ml, while for type 3 glass it would be 8.1 ml. Okay. Then for 20 to 50, more than 20, less than 50, 0.6 and 6.1. More than 50 but not more than 100, 0.5 ml and 4.8 ml. For more than 100 but not more than 200, it is 0.4 and 3.8. Remember these things that are utmost important to learn when we are going for the industrial manufacturing or quality control test for these packaging materials. For more than 200 and but not more than 500 is 0.3 and 2.9. These are the limits, and for more than 500 for type 1 and type 2 glass this is 0.2 ml the limit is, and 2.2 ml for type 3 glass. This was all about the maximum amount of volume of 0.10 SCl per 100 ml test solution which was required in the titration. Now moving to the test 2. What is the test 2? You have to rinse the container twice with water and with 4% volume of solution of hydrofluoric acid HF. Then allow to stand for 10 minutes. Empty the container. Rinse 5 times with water, and carry out the test similar to test 1, as whatever the steps we have adopted in the test 1 is, then it is followed. Moving to the PGT, powdered glass test. To estimate the amount of alkali released from the powdered glass at the elevated temperature is called powdered glass test. What we are doing the same thing what we have done in the hydrolytic resistance, but what we are doing, we are powdering the glass. First it is crushed, powdered, and at elevated temperature the estimated amount of alkali released is this estimation is done. Leaching is assessed by acid base titration. At the hydrolytic resistance it was HCl, here 0.2 N sulfuric acid using methyl red as an indicator. So step 1, preparation of glass specimen. You will crush that glass, okay, container, and then you prepare the sample. Second step is washing this specimen. For powder glass test, step 1, preparation of glass specimen. What we'll do? Few containers are rinsed thoroughly with purified water and dried with stream of clean air. Then grind the containers in a mortar to a fine powder and pass through the sieve number 20 and 50. Then wash the specimen. Step 2. 10 gram of the above specimen is taken into 250 ml conical flask and then wash it with 20 ml with 30 ml acetone. Repeat the washing, decant the acetone and dry, after which it is used within 48 hours. Okay. Now what is the procedure of PGT, powder glass test? What we are going to do, 10 gram of sample is taken. It is added with 50 ml of high purity water in a 250 ml flask. Place it in an autoclave at 121 plus minus 2 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. Cool it under the running water. Decant the solution into the another flask. Wash again with 15 ml high purity water and again decant. Then titrate immediately. With 0.01 sulfuric acid using methyl red as an indicator and record the volume. So this was the powder glass test. The simple difference is you are using not hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid you are using here in the powder glass test, while in the hydrolytic resistance you use the hydrochloric acid. Okay, this is the basic difference. Now let us see in detail what we are doing in this powder glass test. We are transferring the 10 gram of powder specimen in 250 ml conical flask. Then it should be digested previously with the high purity water in bath at 90 degrees Celsius. Then conical flask containing 50 ml high purity water is added to it. Cap all the flask. Autoclave, continue heating for 10 minutes. Then reduce the heat and wait for autoclave to cool. Okay, remember these steps. Cool the flask in running water. Decant the water. Wash the residual glass 4 times with 15 ml high purity water. Add the decanted washing to main portion. Now let's see the USP acceptance criteria for powder glass test. For type 1, type 2 and type 3, volume of 0.2 and sulfuric acid in ml is given as 1 ml, 8.5 ml and 15 ml for powder glass test. Okay, it means minimum amount is required in type 1. It means type 1 is having the least leaching property. As we know, borosilicate glass are devoid of, they are free from leaching properties. So that's why the type 3 will always have the higher volume, will be consuming the higher volume of sulfuric acid due to higher leaching. Okay, this is the simplest common thing you must have in your mind, that always the type 1 will have the lower volume of sulfuric acid consumption or hydrochloric acid consumption in hydrolytic resistance or the powder glass test. Okay. Now water attack test. It is similar to hydrolytic resistance IP. It is in USP, it is mentioned as water attack test. It is only used for treated soda lime glass containers. Under the controlled humidity conditions which neutralize the surface alkali, and glass will become chemically more resistant. So what is the principle? To detect the least alkali from the surface of the container, we use the water attack test. Rinse 3 or more containers with high purity water to determine the water attack test. Fill each container to 90% of its overflow capacity. Cap all the flasks, autoclave at 121 degrees Celsius for 60 minutes. Empty the contents and cool the contents in 250 ml conical flask to a volume of 100 ml, and then add 5 drops of methyl red solution. What is going to happen? The volume of sulfuric acid consumed is the measure of the amount of alkaline oxide present in the glass container. So by this way, we can have an idea that whether the leaching is high or more, or we can determine the type of glass. How? This is the USP acceptance criteria of VAT, the water attack test. VAT is prescribed by the USP. Remember this. Hydrolytic resistance is prescribed by the IP. It is similar to hydrolytic resistance in USP, you can say. For type 2, 100 ml or below, the container is there. Then volume of 0.2 NaCl ml is 0.7 ml. For type 2, above 100 ml, 0.2 ml. So we have already mentioned that it is done for treated soda lime glass only. Okay. So for if the capacity is 100 ml or below, then 0.7 ml is the limit, and if it is above 100 ml, then 0.2 ml is the limit. Okay. Now, arsenic limit test. Okay, the fourth one, limit test. For the fourth one, QC test for the glass. What we are going to do here, inner and outer surface are washed 5 times with freshly prepared distilled water. Then prepare 50 ml using adequate number of test solution. Pipette out 10 ml of test solution from combined content of ampoule into the flask. Add 10 ml of nitric acid HNO3. Evaporate that to dryness on water bath, and add the residue in an oven at 130 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. Okay. Cool. Add 2 hydrazine molybdate reagent to dissolve. Heat under reflux on water bath for 20 minutes. Then cool to room temperature. Then determine the absorbance of reducing substance at 840 nanometer using hydrazine molybdate reagent as a blank. So this was all about the arsenic test. This is standard arsenic limit test. Now we are moving to the light transmission test. This is the last glass test which we perform. Maximum percent of light transmission at any wavelength between 290 to 450 nanometer is determined in this test. Information provided to patient may include identification number for dispensing records, name, strength and quantity, storage instructions, direction for use, name and address for the dispensers. So these are some of the information which must be shared. Now moving to the thermal shock test. As the name suggests, can a container withstand the thermal shock? Place the sample in the upright position in a tray. Immerse the tray into a hot water for a given time, and transfer to the cold water bath. Temperature of both are closely monitored. Examine the cracks or breaks before and after the test. The amount of thermal shock a bottle can withstand depends on the size and the design. Small bottles withstand a temperature differential of 60 to 80 degrees Celsius, while the large bottles can withstand only up to 30 to 40 degrees Celsius. A typical thermal shock test uses 45 degrees Celsius temperature difference between hot and cold water. So the thermal fluctuation, you can say, is between 45 degrees Celsius between the hot and the cold water. Okay. So this was all about the thermal shock test. Now going to the leakage test. Fill the 10 containers with water. Fill with which is fitted with intended closure, and keep them inverted at room temperature for 24 hours. The test is said to be passed if there is no sign of leakage from any container. Okay. So ideally there should be no leakage. Now, internal bursting pressure test. What is internal bursting pressure test? As the name suggests, we are assessing the bursting property. Instrument used is American Glass Research Increment Pressure Tester. The test bottle is filled with water and placed inside the test chamber. A scaling head is applied and the internal pressure automatically raised by a series of increments, each of which is held for a set of time. The bottle can be checked to a pre-selected pressure level and the test continues until the container finally bursts. Okay, so by this way it's a quite simple test. Okay, now moving to the plastic containers after the glass containers. For non-injectable preparation, collapsibility test and clarity of aqueous extract are the two important QC tests which are performed. And non-volatile residue is the third one which is to be conducted. For injectable preparations, plastic containers with injectable preparation, collapsibility, leakage as in the glass test, clarity and color of solution, acidity or alkalinity, reducing substance, light absorption, water vapor permeability and transparency. These are the you can say total 8 QC tests which are performed for injectable plastic containers. Okay, plastic containers in which injectables are packed. Collapsibility test. It is applicable to containers which are to be squeezed in order to remove the contents. The yield is 90% of its contents at a required rate of flow at ambient temperature must be there. While the clarity of aqueous extract, as the name suggests, clarity of aqueous extract, for this you select the unlabeled portion, unlabeled in which the label is not there, portion from a suitable container, cut these portion into strips, wash it with extraneous matter by shaking with two separate portions of distilled water, transfer to flask previously washed with chromic acid, then rinse with distilled water, add 250 ml distilled water, cover the flask, autoclave at 121 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. You will find colorless and free from turbidity. The clarity must be there in the aqueous extract. Okay, this was all about the clarity of aqueous extract. Now clarity and color of solution. Solution S is clear and is colorless. What is solution S? Fill a container to its nominal capacity with water and close it, if possible using the usual means of closure. Otherwise close using a sheet or pure aluminum. Heat in an autoclave so that the temperature of 121 degrees Celsius can be reached within 20-30 minutes and maintain at this temperature for at least half an hour. If heating at 120 degrees Celsius leads to deterioration of the container, heat at 100 degree for 2 hours. Use solution S within 4 hours of preparation. Okay. What is blank? Here, prepare a blank by heating water in a borosilicate glass closed by a sheet of pure aluminum at the temperature and for the time used for the preparation of the solution S. So blank will be prepared like this. For the non-volatile residue, evaporate the 100 ml of extract obtained in the test for clarity of aqueous extract to dryness and dry to constant weight at 105 degrees Celsius. The residue weighs not more than 12.5 milligram. So what is the limit? 12.5 milligram for that particular residue, that non-volatile residue. Now we are moving for the next parameter of quality control, that is acidity or alkalinity. To a volume of solution S corresponding to 4% of the nominal capacity of the container, add 0.1 ml of phenolphthalein solution. The solution is colorless. Add 0.4 ml of 0.01 m sodium hydroxide. The solution is pink. Add 0.8 ml of 0.1 m hydrochloric acid and 0.1 ml of methyl red solution, that is indicator. The solution is orange red or red. So this is a test about the acidity or alkalinity. Now moving to the reducing substances. What are the reducing substances? How we can determine them? To 20 ml of solution S, the sample preparation solution S we have prepared, add 1 ml of dilute sulfuric acid and 20 ml of 0.02 m potassium permanganate. Boil it for 3 minutes, cool immediately. Then add 1 gram of potassium iodide and titrate immediately with 0.01 m sodium thiosulfate using 0.25 ml of starch solution as indicator. Carry out this titration using 20 ml of the blank prepared as described under solution S. Okay. The difference between the titration volume should not be more than 1.5 ml. 1.5 ml. Okay, the difference. Light absorption test. The light absorption should be in the range of 230 nanometer to 360 nanometer of solution S using a blank prepared as described under solution S is not more than 0.2. So 0.2 is the limit for the light absorption. Okay. Now moving to the water vapor permeability. This property is very important with respect to the containers. Fill 5 containers with nominal volume of water and heat seal the bottle with aluminum foil. Then weigh accurately each container and allow to stand for 14 days at humidity of 60 plus minus 5% RH at 20 degrees Celsius, 20 and 25 degrees Celsius. Okay. Reweigh the container. Loss in weight in each container is not more than 0.2%. So 0.2% is the limit for the water vapor permeability. Now transparency test. What is the transparency test? In this test, standard suspension preparation is prepared by 1 gram of hydrazine sulfate in 100 ml water and set aside for 6 hours. Then take 25 ml of this solution and 25 ml of 10% weight by volume hexamine and stand for 24 hours. Test solution preparation is done by sample is prepared by 16-fold dilution. 16-fold, remember 16-fold dilution of the standard suspension. So standard preparation we have prepared in the step 1, then the test solution is prepared by 16-fold dilution of the standard suspension. Then fill 5 containers. Cloudiness detectable when compared to water filled containers. So we can compare the cloudiness. So this way transparency can be compared with respect to standard and the test solution. Absorbance is measured at 640 nanometer and the range is within 0.37 and 0.43. So it should be within the range of 0.37 and 0.43. So by this way we can estimate the transparency, okay, of the container. Now this was all about the containers. Now slowly we have entered into the closures, quality control of closures. So let's see what are the quality control tests of closures. Sterility, fragmentation, self-sealability, pH of the aqueous extract, light absorption test, reducing substances, and residual evaporation. These are the major quality control tests of closures. Preparation of sample is a common step. You will have to prepare a solution A. How? Wash the closures in 0.2% weight by volume of anionic surfactant for 5 minutes. Rinse 5 times with distilled water and add 200 ml of water and is subjected to autoclave at 119 to 123 degrees Celsius for 20-30 minutes, covering with aluminum foil, and then cool and separate the solution from closure. This is the solution A. So now you have got the solution A and it will be used again and again in the quality control test. So how preparation of sample is done. So we have washed the closures with 0.2% weight by volume of anionic surfactant. Remember this step 1. I'm just recalling it for you, so because solution is very much important. Step 2, what we did, rinsed it for 5 times with distilled water and added the 200 ml. In step 3, further we will autoclave at 119 to 123 Celsius for 30 minutes. Then allow to cool and separate solution from closure. So this is the solution A we have got. Remember, this is very important to prepare the solution A very firstly before going for the quality control test for closures. So what we will do in the sterility test, when treated closures are subjected to sterilization test at 64 to 66 degrees Celsius and a pressure of about 0.7 K Pascal for 24 hours, sterility test performed through culture media. What is the fragmentation test? Take 12 clean vials and place closures containing 4 ml of water. Allow to stand for 16 hours. Use hypodermic needle to inject 1 ml of water into the vial and remove 1 ml of air. So you are adding 1 ml of water and removing the 1 ml of air. So pass the water present in the vial through a filter with pore size of 0.5 micron. Carry this operation for 4 times with the new needle each time. What is the limit? So number of fragments should not be more than 15. And in case of butyl rubber, it should not be more than 10. Okay. Now moving to the self-sealability. Now what is self-sealability? It is applicable for the closures which are intended to be used with water. What we are going to do, first of all, fill the 10 vials with nominal volume of water, place the closures, pierce the cap for 10 times at different sites with hypodermic needle, immerse the vials in the 0.1% weight by volume solution of methylene blue under pressure, keep the container immersed for 30 minutes, wash the vials. None of the vial should contain traces of color solution. Obviously the color solution should not come enter into the vials. So this is the way by which we can assess this self-sealability. pH of aqueous extract. Now this is the another QC test for closure. How we are going to do this? Take 20 ml of sample solution, add 0.1 ml of bromothymol blue and add 0.1 m NaOH till color changes from blue to yellow. So volume required is measured in this case. What is the limit for pH of aqueous extract? Volume of NaOH should not be more than 0.3 ml. Okay, remember this thing, 0.3 ml. It should not be more than 0.3 ml, and volume of HCl should not be more than 0.8 ml. Okay. Light absorption test. What we are going to do in this test? It must be done within 48 hours of preparing solution A. Remember, we have told you how to prepare the solution A for the closure. So it must be done within 4 hours of preparing solution. It is filtered through 0.5 micron filter and its absorption is measured at 220 to 360 nanometer. Blank is done without closures and absorbance is not more than 2. Not more than 2. Now reducing substance. 20 ml of solution A is added with 1 ml of 1 m H2SO4 and 20 ml of 0.02 m KMnO4 and boil it for 3 minutes. Cool and add 1 gram of potassium iodide which is titrated with sodium thiosulfate using starch as an indicator, and the blank titration is done and the difference between titration volume is not more than 0.7 ml. Okay, so this is the limit for reducing substance. Now residue on evaporation. 50 ml of solution A. 50 ml of solution A is evaporated to dryness at 105 degrees Celsius and weigh the residue, and it should not be more than the 4 milligram. It should not be more than 4 milligram. So 4 milligram is the upper limit for the residue on evaporation. Okay. Now moving to the penetrability. Closures must be penetrable by piercing the needle. So to measure the force required to make a hypodermic needle penetrate easily through the closure, with penetrability test is done. It is measured by using piercing machine. The piercing force must not exceed. It must not exceed a stated value. The hypodermic needle can get damaged as a result of undesirable hardness of closure. So closure must be optimally flexible. So you can say in the integrity. It should allow the piercing of needle in a optimum way. Okay, neither too easily nor too hardly. For metallic container, now we have come to the metallic containers. Take 50 empty tubes filled with ointment base, sealed and kept overnight. A metal bacteriological filter assembly fitted with the filter paper and heated to a melting range of ointment base. Now base from all tubes are squeezed at a certain rate and passed through filter under vacuum, and further wash with chloroform and observe for particles. So we can observe the particles after this. So what is the acceptance criteria? Let's see the acceptance criteria here. That particles of 1 mm and above should be not more than 50, particles of 0.5 mm to 1 mm 10, particles 0.2 mm to 0.5 mm 2, and particles less than 0.2 mm must be nil. Okay, total score 62, more than not more than 62 particles should be there. Okay. Now, what is the acceptance limit? For total scores less than 100, test result remark is lot of tube passes the test. If it is less than 100, okay, it passes the test. If it is more than 150, lots of that lot of tubes fails. If it is between 100 and 150, test is repeated again with 50 more tubes. Okay. How we can, this was, now we have done the quality control, we have studied the quality control test of glass, then we studied about the plastic, and then we studied about the closure. Now it is the turn after the metallic containers for the particulate analysis. Now we are going to discuss the quality control of strip and blisters. 3 by 4 of water is poured in desiccator. Strip and blisters are placed inside this desiccator. Apply the vacuum. Strip and blisters are taken out. Wipe the water present at its surface. The content is removed and presence of moisture is checked. If content is not wet, no leakage is there. So blister and strip must be, you can say, it must be waterproof. It should not allow any entry of any water or moisture inside the inside the packaging. It indicates perfect sealing if it is there is no, if the content is not wet. So friends, these are some of the further readings. I recommend Pharmaceutical Packaging Technology by Dean Stevens by Taylor and Francis, one of the best book in packaging technologies, and you can refer depending on the availability of books in your library and in your e-library. So do study the state-of-the-art books for enhancing your knowledge. So friends, we have reached to the end of this lecture. We know that packaging material science or packaging technology is a parallel industry in any industry, not only in just pharma industry. To develop a new package is more cost effective than developing a new molecule, developing a new API, developing a new dosage form. So if we can innovate in the packaging, it is going to add up with the value of your product. first thing we discuss in this packaging technology. How many types of packaging material may be there in pharmaceuticals specifically? There are primary, secondary, and tertiary packaging, and the contents, the packaging material may be glass, plastic, the rubber closure it may be there, and metal container it may be there. Okay, there may be container, there may be closures. Okay, so we studied that these container closure may be of various types as described by the various compendial definitions like airtight containers, well closed containers, single dose, multiple dose, okay, tamper evident, child resistance. So all these definitions must be read by you, and the overall purpose of packaging is to ensure the safety, quality, stability. So we call safety, stability, and efficacy. So uh, requires packaging is rather again in art as well as science. You will have to to put all your efforts and see that what are the see the stability aspect with respect to the ICH guidelines for the packaging materials also, not only just for the APIs. Okay, so remember the ICH guidelines which we have discussed, and various stability parameters guidelines which can be performed as per the compendial and non-compendial prescriptions. Labeling can be done effectively as per the drugs and cosmetic rules and regulations, and other countries' regulations which are harmonized with the International Conference on Harmonization ICH. Please do refer these things, and then please, when we were discussing the QC test, I'm wrapping the complete packaging technology lectures. HRT, the hydrolytic resistance test, but we use SCL. Remember, in PGT we use sulfuric acid. So this is a basic difference in the VAT also. So WAT in USP it is in official in USP. Transparency test, no other glass tests, or arsenic limit test, light transmission test, not only just for glass but for plastic, rubbers, for rubber closures especially the fragmentation test, sealability, that penetrability tests are very important. Okay, for collapsible tubes we discussed that particulate matter must not be more than the specified limits. These acceptance criteria must be learnt verbatim. Whatever the acceptance criteria there are, you must remember them verbatim, and try to recollect all the types of QC test which we perform in a particular test. Say for example, you must know for plastics, uh, for injectable and non-injectable plastics, what are the number of QC tests we generally perform, and which are recommended by the compendial requirement, or which are recommended by the IP or the USP, and try to summarize or try to recall these steps. We have given these steps in a very easy and friendly way for you. So please do learn the same, and try to come up with easy way to understand these processes, so it will be easier for you to learn the all the test and the all the definitions. So what you have to do in packaging technology, let me summarize, let me give you the final tips that what we are going to learn. We are going to learn all the definition verbatim, that different types of that packaged primary, secondary, tertiary packaging, multiple dosing, tamper evident, well closed, airtight, hermetically sealed, okay, child resistant closure, all the official definition you must learn verbatim. Then the stability testing protocols, ICH guidelines, at least the CFR codes, what are the compendial requirement, and then lastly the all the QC tests. These are utmost important HRD, PGT, WAT, what are the specific things, especially what is the titrating agent we are adding, what endpoint agent we are adding. These are utmost important, and with these words I would like to close my discussion here, and hope you have got and you have enjoyed, although it's a little bit boring topic, but please try to remember these things, and they are very important with respect to your exam point of view. Thank you for being with me, and keep learning. Happy learning.